Greetings from JSI Study Center. World Top News, a new initiative from our end. Hope you all are going to enjoy. So, without further delay, let's start. Israel brings back mask rules as variant spreads. Israel, a world leader in vaccination, is once again requiring people to wear masks in indoor public spaces amid of coronavirus outbreak driven by the arrival of a new variant. Israel rolled out one of the most successful vaccination campaigns in the world, inoculating some 85% of its adult population. In recent months, nearly all restrictions were lifted as the number of active cases plummeted. But there has been a spike in recent days after weeks in which the number of new daily cases was in the single or low double digits. Dr. Nacham Ash, who is leading the coronavirus response, said 2 to 7 new cases were confirmed on Thursday, according to Israeli media. Let's move to our next important news, please. Fire kills 18, mostly children, at China martial arts school. At least 18 people, mostly children, were killed and 16 others injured when a deadly fire ripped through a boarding martial arts school in China's Henan province in the early hours of Friday. The children, aged between 7 and 16, were asleep on the first floor when the blaze broke out at Zanjing Martial Arts Center. A total of 34 students are enrolled at the boarding school in Shungangqiu City's Zhengshan country. Let's move to our next important news, please. EU leaders defend LGBT rights amid concern over Hungary law. European Union leaders clashed with Hungary's Prime Minister during a heated summit Thursday over new legislation in his country that will ban showing content about LGBT issues to children, a measure that has been widely criticized across the region and has angered human rights groups. A majority of the leaders insisted that discrimination must not be tolerated in the 27 nation bloc and told Viktor Orban that the new Hungarian law goes against the EU's fundamental values. Being homosexual is not a choice, being homophobic is. Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo told Orban during the meeting, according to the EU diplomat. The person spoke anonymously according to usual practice. Let's move to our next important news. Election day should be a day off. US President Joe Biden. Election day should be a holiday for workers in the United States, President Joe Biden said on Thursday. If I had my way, and I think it is really important, every election day would be a day off. He said because people who work certain shifts can't make it to the polls. Biden told reporters he planned to travel the country to push voting rights after remarks at the White House about a bipartisan infrastructure agreement. You are going to hear a lot more from the president next week on voting rights, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said later on MSNBC. Let's move to our next important news. Bolsonaro says Brazil didn't spend a cent on Bharat Biotech vaccine deal under probe. President Jair Bolsonaro on Thursday said Brazil never paid for or received any doses of a coronavirus vaccine developed by Indian company Bharat Biotech in response to allegations of irregularities in a deal that is under investigation. Federal prosecutors and a special Senate committee are investigating the deal for Bharat Biotech's Covaxin shot, citing the fact that the government struck a speedy agreement when offers from Pfizer in 2020 at a lower price were ignored at the time. We didn't spend 1 cent on Covaxin. We didn't receive one dose of Covaxin. What sort of corruption is this? Bolsonaro said the president pledged to make or take action if any corruption was discovered in his government. Let's move to our next important slide, please. Euro 2020. Sergio Busquets proves key as Spain gets back on track. The Spain captain teared up recalling the doubts that went through his mind after being told he had to go into isolation only day before the tournament was to begin. I'm emotional because I had to go through some difficult times. Busquets said, I had to stay at home for 10 days, not knowing if I was going to be back or not. Spain was glad Busquets didn't make it back just in time to lead the team to victory over Slovakia on Wednesday. The Barcelona midfielder was voted the man of the match in the 5-0 win that sent Spain to the round of 16 after opening with disappointing draws against Sweden and Poland. Let's move to our next important news. Miami building collapse. 159 missing, official says. The number of people listed as missing after the collapse of a 12-story building in the US city of Miami has risen to 159, officials say. Four people are known to have died. The mayor of Miami Dade says they still have hope of finding survivors. Search teams working around the clock have reported hearing people banging beneath the debris. What caused the 40-year-old building to collapse early on Thursday morning remains unclear. At least 102 people have now been accounted for, but it is uncertain how many were in the building when it came down. Dozens of people have been evacuated from what is left of the structure. Let's move to our next important news, please. Child labor in Uganda, the hidden cost of COVID. With one of the youngest population in the world, Uganda was already struggling with high rates of child labor. But with the world now facing a wave of economic hardship, NGOs say in a single year, the pandemic has set back any progress made to reduce child labor by 20 years. The Karamoja, northeast Uganda, when all schools closed due to the pandemic, 9-year-old Teddy joined her mother mining for gold. Let's move to our next slide, please. Czech Republic. Deadly tornado sweeps through villages. A tornado has swept through several villages in the Czech Republic, killing 4 people and leaving more than 100 others injured. Thursday night's storm blew the roof of building in the southeastern Berkeley and Hodonian district, uprooting trees and overturning cars. Wind of at least 219 km per hour were recorded, and the worst hit areas were said to look like a war zone. It's living hell, said South Moravia Regional Governor John Glorich. Hailstones the size of tennis balls were reported, and local officials said a string of villages had suffered considerable damage along a 25-kilometer stretch of road heading from Breklov to Hadonin to the northeast. Let's move to our next important slide, please. Green list change prompts holiday pricing chaos. The prices of flights and hotels for new green list travel destinations have swung sharply in both directions since the guidance was changed on Thursday. The government added 16 destinations to the list. Travelers returning from these do not have to isolate on return. Destinations include Malta and Spain's Balearic Islands, and some holidays have doubled in price. The independent travel editor Simon Calder said airlines have added extra capacity. Initially, when these new flights have become available, prices have fallen as extra supply takes up the demand. Let's move to our last important news, please. New type of ancient human discovered in Israel. Researchers working in Israel have identified a previously unknown type of ancient human that lived alongside our species more than 1 lakh years ago. They believe the remains uncovered near the city of Ramla represent one of the last survivors of a very ancient human group. The finds consist of a partial skull and jaw from the individual who lived between 1,40,000 and 1,20,000 years ago. Details have been published in the journal Science. The team members think the individual descended from an earlier species that may have spread out of the region hundreds of thousands of years ago and given rise to Netherlands in Europe and their equivalents in Asia. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching till end. You all are requested to subscribe, like and share with your friends. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for latest updates from our end. Till our next video, to take care of yourself and have a great moment ahead. Thank you once again.